Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about Dalle2, and we're going to be creating a NodeJS server with Dalle2, and just for a little added bonus, we're going to add GPT-3 as well. So let's jump into it. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get started making the OpenAI GPT-3 and Dalle2 packages. So one of the first things you want to do is you want to create a .env file. And what we're going to do is we're going to make the OpenAI API key, and we're going to set that equal to our .env. We're going to set it equal to our API key. And in order to get the API key, all you have to do is go to Dalle2, log in, and get the API key from there. It does cost money after your first $18, so just remember that. Alright, so next thing, we're going to go ahead and open up our package.json. So in our file system, open up the package.json, and let's go ahead and create type module. And the reason we want to use this is we want the latest version of NodeJS, or we want to be able to use import statements essentially. All right, and then from here we need to go ahead and create an index.js file, and in the index.js file it's going to be in our root of our directory here, and we need to import a couple of things. So first thing we need to import is Express and Morgan, and then we have a couple of custom modules. We need to do server and OpenAI router, and then from there we need to get our Express app and our logger. And then we're going to put that on port 3000 or whatever port that you want to pass into your .env. And then we're going to create a server instance. And the reason I made it as a class is just to make it cleaner, honestly. All right, next let's instantiate our server class to the dev server. Use express.json, and then pass in our router. All right, and then we're also going to pass in the logger to the router, and then init the router. All right, perfect. So now that we have this built, let's go ahead and create a couple of things. So one of the first things we should create our server. So let's go ahead and make the server. So in order to create the server, let's go export default server, pass in the app and the port, and use this.app equals app, this.port equals port, and then create the dev server. So the dev server is going to listen on the port, and then we're also just going to console.log. Whatever it is that we need to console.log onto the port, right? So it's whatever message you need. It makes it simple, makes it easy. All right, perfect. Then let's go ahead and create the OpenAI.js interface. So let's import a few things. So one of the first things that we need to import is OpenAI API. And then we're going to import some utilities just to make it easier to read. And then so you have export default class equals this OpenAI interface class, and so we're going to pass the configuration into the OpenAI, and then we're going to make a function called getPhoto. GetPhoto is going to get a prompt, a size, and a number, which is like the number of images. So we're going to pass these into the OpenAI method called createImage. And prompt, and n is the number of images, and size is the size of the image. It defaults to 1024, I believe, so you can change the size as needed. All right, next we are going to get the URL from the response, and then we're going to get our new utilities class we haven't created yet, generate the title. And we're going to use a generate title function that's going to use GPT-3 using the DaVinci model to make it easier for us to tag our photos that we generate with AI. So everything that gets created here is all AI. All right, and then we're going to tag the title to make it unique. And then we're also going to save it to our public assets directory here. All right, we're going to turn the URL, and then next we need to create the functions. So let's go ahead and create the generate title function. It's going to take a prompt, and if we don't get a prompt, then we're going to return no prompt. And then next we're going to use a create completion from the OpenAI. This is going to allow us to use the DaVinci 2 model, and we're going to go ahead and set the intention for it to go create a title for this kind of image, and we're going to use the prompt as the image. And then a couple of extra variables here. So temperature is how random it's going to be. The max tokens is how big this prompt can be. They said don't mix the temperature with the top P. So keep this at 1, and you can fiddle with this as you like, or fiddle with this as you like and keep this at 1. That's what they say do in the documentation. And then let's go ahead and make sure that these are set to 0. Finally, let's go ahead and return the text. Alright, so now that we've got our OpenAI interface created, let's go ahead and generate some of the utility classes that we are going to need to make sure that it runs efficiently. Alright, so let's go ahead and import FS, import path, import file URL to path, and then go ahead and make our utilities class. So we're going to get the constructor, and we need the file name and the dir name in order to know where we are relative to the public assets. So let's go ahead and generate our public path here. And we need a couple of functions to help us save what it is that we generated from OpenAI. So we're going to create a function called write to disk. It's going to receive a URL that we get from OpenAI, and then it's going to take the file name, which we generated from the create title. And so in order to use the fetch natively, you need node-b. You need version 18 of Node in order to do this locally or natively. If you don't have that version, then you can use Axios, which is a pretty easy version to use, or you can use I believe it's Node fetch module. All right, next is create into a blob, pass that blob into a buffer, and then go ahead and make the JPEG name, and then go ahead and write that file to the public assets directory. All right, next we need to tag the title. So in order to tag the title, one of the best ways to do that is just to append the date to the end, just to make it unique. All right, and this is just a couple of extra steps here to make sure that we remove new lines, we remove different quotations, because you don't want to interfere with being able to read it. And then finally, we're going to return the file. All right, and now let's go ahead and generate our routes here. So we need to import .env, we need to import express, some configurations, and then from here we need to import the interface that we created in our package directory, and also do the .env config, which is going to map to the API key that we saved in our .env file. All right, and then from here, let's go ahead and get the class, the OpenAI router. We're going to pass in some middleware just to get some logging in. Say this at middleware is middleware. Go ahead and get the router, and then we're going to use the OpenAI API key and pass that into the configuration that we've got from the OpenAI module. All right, and then next, let's go ahead and get the interface that we created. And we need to init our class. So we're going to use the middleware on the router. Also going to use express.json, as well as we are going to use a post request that is going to generate the photo with the title. So using Dalle2 as well as GPT-3 to get the title. All right, and then we finally return the router. So next thing we need to do is generate the photo. So here's our generate photo function. We need a prompt. We also need a request body size, and we need the number of photos, and the defaults are on the or side. All right, and then finally, once we get the photo, we can go ahead, and you can console.log it here, you don't have to. All right, so let's go ahead and test to make sure what we have created works. So we start the server. All right, I'm going to go ahead and copy a curl URL here. All right, let's go ahead and paste this. This is our prompt, so a concept art painting of a jungle by Greg Rutkowski, training on ArtStation. Let's go ahead and run that. Watch it in the bash. All right, perfect. So we see you have a post request, And in our public assets directory, here's what I created. Look there. And I even called it jungle concept art. So this was AI generated and this was AI generated. Awesome. Here you go, and this is what was returned. Alright guys, I hope that was interesting. Hope that was informative. Hope you enjoyed it. If you guys want to see more content like this, please let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe. I would love to make a Tailwind version of this or a React version of this. But anyways guys, thanks again for watching. Have a good night.